What if your two best friends, the ones you trusted with your secrets, your memories, your teenage adventures, suddenly turned against you? This is the devastating reality behind the murder of Skylar Neese. Skylar was just 16 years old, an honor student, a beloved daughter, and a girl with big dreams. She lived in the small town of Star City, West Virginia, where her biggest worries should have been high school exams and sleepovers. But in the summer of 2012, she vanished in the middle of the night. At first, no one could have guessed what had happened to her or who was responsible. What unfolded in the following months would shock an entire community and leave a permanent scar on the lives of everyone who knew her. This is not just a story of a missing teenager. It's a story of betrayal, of cold blooded calculation, and of a truth so chilling, it's hard to believe. This is the case of Skylar Neese. Before the headlines, before the betrayal, there was just Skylar. Skylar Neese was born on February 10th, 1996. She lived in Star City, West Virginia. She was an only child. She was close with her parents, and she had big dreams. She wanted to be a criminal defense attorney someday. She loved reading, writing, watching old movies. Just a bubbly teen in a small town. In school, Skylar was an honor student, straight A's, part-time job at Wendy's. She had drive, focus, and that kind of magnetic personality that made people gravitate toward her. But her world didn't revolve around academics. Like most 16-year-olds, her life was deeply entwined with her friends. Her best friend since childhood was Sheila Eddy. They were incredibly close, the kind of friends who did everything together. Think sleepovers, inside jokes, calling each other sisters, all of it. Then in middle school, a new friend came into the picture. Rachel Schoaf. She was more emotional, very into church, kind of theatrical. And at first, the three girls formed this tight little trio. They quickly became inseparable. Constant giggling inside jokes, late night phone calls, and social media selfies. But underneath the surface, things weren't so perfect. Over time, Skylar began to feel like the third wheel. As Sheila and Rachel grew closer, Skylar felt more like an outsider within her own friend group. Her Twitter feed, still preserved online, paints a heartbreaking picture, snarky, frustrated, and lonely. In one post, she wrote, "Sick of being at fucking home. Thanks, friends. Love hanging out with you all too." Another simply said, "You doing shit like this is why I will never completely trust you." So it's clear there was drama brewing. But what Skylar didn't know was that behind her back, Sheila and Rachel were talking about killing her. Like, not just, I can't stand her, but full on planning it out. And that's where this story takes a seriously dark turn. So let's talk about the night everything happened. It's July 5th, 2012. Skylar had just finished a shift at Wendy's where she worked part-time and came home to her family's apartment. She had dinner with her parents, hugged them goodnight, and went to bed like usual. But just after midnight, in the early hours of July 6th, she quietly pushed a bench under her bedroom window, opened the screen, and snuck out. Security footage from her apartment building captured her getting into a car parked at the edge of the lot. That car belonged to Sheila Eddy. Inside, Sheila and Rachel, her two best friends. Skylar thought they were going to hang out, drive around, maybe smoke a little weed in the woods like they'd done many times before. But this time, the girls had a much darker plan. They drove across state lines, into rural Pennsylvania, to a remote spot they had visited before. It was quiet, surrounded by trees, and far enough out that no one would hear anything. According to Rachel's confession later, they all got out of the car and started walking toward the woods. Skylar was in between them. And then, on a prearranged signal, Sheila and Rachel counted to 3. Then they attacked Skylar with knives. Skylar fought back. She managed to get Rachel's knife away for a second and even stabbed her in the knee, but she was outnumbered. The girls stabbed her over 50 times. And the scariest part, they brought cleaning supplies with them: bleach, paper towels, a shovel. This wasn't a sudden fight. It was premeditated, cold, planned out for weeks. They tried to bury her body, but the ground was too hard. So they covered her with rocks, branches, and leaves. Just left her there, hoping no one would find her, and went home like nothing happened. Back at her house, Skylar's parents woke up and realized she wasn't in her bed. Her window was open. The bench was under it. Her phone charger, toothbrush, and purse were still in the room. But Skylar was gone. At first, Skylar's disappearance was treated like a runaway. She'd snuck out before, and she didn't take her phone charger or purse. So police figured she left voluntarily and would probably come back soon. But her parents, especially her dad, Dave, knew something was wrong. Skylar wasn't the type to just disappear. She had plans, a job, goals. She hadn't taken anything with her, and she never came home. Still, because she wasn't believed to be abducted, no Amber Alert was issued. Over the next few days, flyers went up everywhere. Skylar's parents pleaded on the news. Police searched her phone and social media for clues. That's when they saw the apartment surveillance video and realized Skylar had gotten into a car that night. But at first, Rachel and Sheila lied. They told police they had picked Skylar up that night and that they just hung out for a little while, driving around. Then they claimed they dropped her off at the end of her street around 11:30 p.m. They said she didn't want to wake her parents, so she snuck back in the way she came out. At first, it sounded believable, but there were no witnesses, no security footage of her walking back toward the apartment. And most importantly, Skylar never came home. Still, for months, they stuck to that lie. And here's the creepy part. While Skylar was missing and her parents were begging for answers, Sheila and Rachel acted totally normal. They went to school, posted selfies, hung out together like nothing happened. Sheila even tweeted things like, "No one on this earth can handle me and Rachel. We're the best liars you'll ever meet." And the most chilling one? We really did go on 3. Like, what? People online started to notice. Skylar's friends and total strangers started calling out the weird energy. There were entire threads analyzing their tweets. But the police still didn't have solid proof. That is, until January 2013. Rachel Schoaf cracked. She had a full-blown mental breakdown. Her parents took her to a psychiatric hospital. And when she came out, she confessed. She told investigators everything: how she and Sheila had planned to kill Skylar, how they lured her out, drove her to the woods, counted to 3, stabbed her, and left her body there. Rachel even led police to the exact spot in Pennsylvania where they'd left Skylar. And after 6 long months missing, her remains were found in the snow. Sheila still tried to act normal for a little while. Even tweeted, "Rest easy, Skylar, you'll always be my best friend," all while knowing the truth. But on May 1st, 2013, she was finally arrested and charged with murder. What's so haunting about this part of the case is how long it took. Skylar's family spent months in limbo while her killers were walking free, going to school, tweeting, smiling, pretending. The whole time they knew exactly what they'd done. Okay, so once Rachel confessed and led police to Skylar's body, she also gave them a motive. And when I say gave them a motive, I mean she gave them this: "We just didn't like her anymore." That's what she said. That was the reason two 16-year-old girls planned a murder weeks in advance, brought knives and cleaning supplies, and stabbed their friend over 50 times. Because they didn't like her anymore? It didn't make sense then, and honestly, it still doesn't. People, and I mean everyone following this case, started wondering what the real motive was. Because that answer felt way too simple, way too empty, and way too cold. Here are some of the biggest theories and speculations that have come up over the years. Theory number one: Skylar knew something. A lot of people believe that Skylar knew a secret, something that Sheila and Rachel didn't want anyone else to find out. The most common theory? That Sheila and Rachel were in a secret romantic relationship, and that Skylar found out and either told someone or threatened to tell someone. This theory has never been officially confirmed, but multiple sources, including Skylar's mother and a friend, say that Skylar had written in her diary that she caught the two of them, Rachel and Sheila, hooking up. And whether she told someone, threatened to, or simply knew, it may have been enough to make them panic. If Skylar had confronted them about it, or even just hinted she might tell someone, that could have made things spiral fast. Rachel came from a very religious, conservative family. Being outed at 16 in a small town, especially if she wasn't ready, could have felt terrifying, humiliating. So some people believe the murder wasn't just about not liking her. It was about silencing her. Theory number two: it was about control. Another theory is that Sheila, who was described by many as charismatic, manipulative, sociopathic, and kind of the leader of the trio, had grown tired of Skylar. Rachel, who was more emotionally fragile, may have been pressured into going along with it. In her confession, Rachel even said, it was Sheila's idea. So some people believe it wasn't just we didn't like her, it was more like we didn't want her around us anymore, and Sheila wanted control over everything. Theory number three: the thrill of it. This one's a little harder to stomach, but there are people who believe the murder wasn't about drama or secrets, but about the thrill of doing something dark, violent, and final, like something out of a horror movie. Remember, they brought bleach, towels, a shovel. This was planned, not a moment of rage. The way they acted afterward, tweeting like nothing happened, going to class, even posting photos of themselves smiling, it was chilling. It was like they felt untouchable. At the end of the day, no one really knows what truly motivated them because they never gave a full explanation. No apology, no deeper insight, just, we didn't like her anymore. And maybe that's the scariest part, that something so violent could be done for a reason that feels so small. So, after Rachel confessed in January 2013 and led police to Skylar's body, everything moved fast. Both girls were arrested. Both were charged with murder. And the world finally began to understand the horrifying truth behind Skylar's disappearance. Rachel was the first to plead guilty. On May 1st, 2013, the same day Sheila was arrested, Rachel admitted in court that she had helped kill Skylar. She was charged with second-degree murder, and in exchange for her cooperation, she got a reduced sentence, 30 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 10. She stood in court, shaking and crying, and apologized to Skylar's parents. But it didn't change what she had done. Sheila, on the other hand, didn't confess. She stuck to her story for months, right up until her trial was about to start. But when she saw the evidence piling up against her, including Rachel's testimony, she finally took a plea deal. In January 2014, Sheila pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. She was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 15 years. Skylar's father, Dave Neese, later said, "She's a monster. There's no other word to describe her." After everything they went through, Skylar's parents wanted to make sure no other missing child was dismissed or ignored the way their daughter was. See, when Skylar vanished, there was no Amber Alert because she wasn't believed to have been abducted. That technicality delayed the search, and her parents knew it might have cost precious time. So they fought for a change. And in 2013, Skylar's Law was passed in West Virginia. It made it so that any missing child, not just abducted ones, could trigger an Amber style alert, ensuring faster public awareness and a better chance of finding them in time. Skylar's case changed more than just one family's life. It changed how missing teens are treated and possibly saved others from the same fate. Skylar Neese's murder wasn't a random act of violence, it was planned, precise, and it came from the very people she trusted most. That's what makes this story so haunting. Not just the brutality, but the betrayal. It forces us to ask uncomfortable questions. How well do we really know the people closest to us? And what warning signs do we miss because we assume things are fine? Skylar's story is a tragedy, but it's also a call to be better. Friends, parents, teachers, human beings, to listen more closely, to speak up when something feels off. Skylar Neese deserved a long, beautiful life. And though she didn't get to live it, her name, her spirit, and her story continue to reach people. If this video moved you, please share Skylar's story. Let her voice echo a little louder. Let her legacy matter a little more. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more true crime videos.